is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
East conflict, Iran fired ballistic missiles with cluster warheads towards central Israel. Some were intercepted over Tel Aviv, but falling submunitions hit residential areas, raising fears of a wider retaliation. While tensions escalate overseas, President Trump has scored a legislative victory at home. The Republican-led House blocked a resolution that would require congressional approval for further strikes on Iran. The move follows a similar block in the Senate. Beyond the Middle East, the White House is hailing the intervention in Venezuela. President Trump said hundreds of millions of barrels of oil are now flowing to Houston refineries. He also hinted at a special plan for Cuba once military objectives are met. From military gains to economic shift, Venezuela is reopening its energy sector. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez signed major oil deals with Shell after sweeping reforms. The agreements signal the end of decades of socialist oil policy. Back home, Davao City's mayor is weighing in on the ICC case. Baste Duterte named those he believes are behind the case against his father. His comments come as the former president's legal team continues to challenge the court's jurisdiction. Meanwhile, a high-profile graft case is heading to court. The trial of former Senator Bong Revilla Jr. over flood control projects in Bulacan is set for April 7th. His camp says the charges will be proven false. I'm Almar Forzuelo. Newsline World starts now. The war in the Middle East has entered a new phase after Iran launched heavy ballistic missiles with cluster warheads towards central Israel. Air defense system intercepted several projectiles over Tel Aviv Thursday, but falling debris and submunitions landed in residential areas, raising fears of a wider retaliatory campaign by Tehran. This report. On the sixth day of the joint U.S.-Israeli campaign, the skies over Tel Aviv lit up with the streaks of Khormashar 4 missiles, among the heaviest in Iran's arsenal. Videos recorded by residents show interceptions mid-air as cluster warheads burst and scattered smaller munitions across the central region. Sirens sounded across Shoham, Barakat, and Elad on Thursday, sending thousands of residents rushing into public shelters. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said the 19th wave of attacks, dubbed Operation True Promise 4, targeted Ben Gurion Airport and Lod Air Base. Israeli authorities reported no immediate fatalities from the latest barrage, but the health ministry said nearly 200 people were treated for injuries and anxiety over the past 24 hours. The conflict began Saturday following the assassination of Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. Since then, U.S. and Israeli strikes have reportedly hit more than 500 targets inside Iran. Despite that, Tehran has continued launching missiles, even as domestic internet connectivity dropped to roughly 1%. With the Strait of Hormuz effectively blockaded and Hezbollah opening a second front in Lebanon, the U.S. Department of War says it is preparing for the next phase of Operation Epic Fury. President Trump has reportedly set a 4-week timeline for regime degradation as global energy markets react to a 90% drop in vessel traffic through the strait. The Republican-controlled House has voted down a resolution that would have required congressional approval before President Trump could order further strikes on Iran, one day after the Senate blocked the same measure. The House voted 212 to 219, largely along party lines, to reject the War Powers Resolution, which Democrats had pushed to limit Trump's authority to conduct military action against Iran without congressional sign-off. It follows Wednesday's Senate vote, where the measure was blocked 53 to 47. The back-to-back defeats lay bare the sharp partisan divide over the Iran strikes, with Democrats broadly condemning the military action as illegal and Republicans rallying behind President Donald Trump. Several Democrats pointed to the U.S. Constitution, which grants Congress the sole power to declare war. Under the 1973 War Powers Act, a president can only order limited military action without congressional authorization in the event of a national emergency, an attack, or imminent threat against the United States. The failed resolutions leave Trump with a free hand to continue operations with no binding congressional check on further military action in the region. U.S. President Donald Trump has declared the recent intervention in Venezuela a resounding success, confirming that hundreds of millions of barrels of oil are now flowing to refineries in Houston. Speaking in Washington, the president also signaled that a special plan for Cuba is in the works once the current military objectives in the Middle East are finalized. Jane Cudnita has the details.
President Donald Trump took a moment to praise U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio during a Friday briefing, giving him credit for his administration's rapid shifts in Latin American policy. Trump highlighted the successful stabilization of Venezuela following the capture of Nicolas Maduro last month. According to the president, the new interim leadership under President Delcy Rodriguez is working in lockstep with Washington. The primary result has been a massive influx of Venezuelan crude into U.S. ports, which Trump claims is returning record-breaking profits to the Venezuelan people through a new cooperative refining agreement.
Venezuela is going great. It's been stabilized. We have a wonderful person as your president-elect, Delcy Rodriguez, and she and her staff have been doing a fantastic job working with us. We're taking out hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, and it's going to Houston and various other places where it's being refined, and we're sending them back far more money than they've made in many years.
Turning his attention to the Caribbean, the president teased what he called a special project for Cuba. While Secretary Rubio is reportedly eager to address the island's transition immediately, the president stressed a more measured approach, citing the need to finish the current Iranian conflict first to avoid a multi-front collapse. Trump expressed confidence that many Cuban Americans would soon be able to return to a transformed island, though he jokingly added that he hoped they wouldn't stay there permanently, as the U.S. still needs their talent at home.
Next one is going to be, we want to do that special Cuba. He's waiting, but he says, let's get this one finished first. We could do them all at the same time, but bad things happen. If you watch countries over the years, you do them all too fast, bad things happen. We're not going to let anything bad happen to this country. But what's happening with Cuba is amazing, and we think that we want to finish this one first, but that will be just a question of time before you and a lot of unbelievable people are going to be going back to Cuba. Hopefully not to stay. We want you back, and we don't want to lose you. We don't want to make it so nice that they stay. But some people probably do want to stay. They love Cuba so much. I hear it all the time.
The president's comments underscore a dual-track foreign policy, maintaining high-intensity kinetic operations in the Middle East, while simultaneously rebuilding the economic and political landscape of the Western Hemisphere. For the White House, the Venezuela model of oil for stability is now the blueprint they hope to replicate across the region. This has been Jane Cudnita, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
In a radical departure from decades of socialist policies, Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez has signed several major energy agreements with Shell. The move, witnessed by U.S. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, comes after the swift reform of the country's hydrocarbon laws, signaling to the global market that the nation's vast oil reserves are once again open for private exploitation. Faith Agustin has the story.
The transformation of the Venezuelan energy landscape reached a milestone on Thursday in Caracas Acting President Delcy Rodriguez was joined by representatives from the international oil giant Shell to formalize a new partnership with the state-owned PDVSA. The signing follows a meeting with U.S. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, who praised the administration for its aggressive legislative reforms. In late January, the Venezuelan Congress approved changes to the Organic Hydrocarbons Law, stripping away prohibitions on private oil exploitation that were the hallmark of the Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro eras.
The work that you, Madam President, and your brother have achieved passing the hydrocarbon law has sent a signal to the whole world that Venezuela is open for business. Seeing these companies come together, like Venezuelan companies like Vapica, Shell, and then also, Baker Hughes, KBR, the Venezuelan Oil Ministry, all of these groups coming together to help develop the resources of this amazing and beautiful country.
For the Rodriguez administration, the goal is not only economic stabilization but the reversal of the country's massive migrant exodus. The acting president emphasized that the return of foreign capital would create thousands of jobs, encouraging the millions of Venezuelans who fled the previous regime's economic collapse to return home.
Hace muy feliz tener a las empresas venezolanas vinculándose en la agenda energética y de minería a nivel internacional. Eso significará también más empleo para nuestros trabajadores, para nuestras trabajadoras. Los jóvenes de Venezuela sepan que tienen oportunidades, que quienes se fueron buscando mejores perspectivas económicas regresen a su patria, a abrazar a su familia y a sus amigos.
Secretary Burgum noted that the integration of Venezuela's critical minerals and energy sectors is now a pillar of regional national security. As the Venezuelan model of cooperation continues to evolve, the White House has reaffirmed its willingness to maintain this diplomatic and economic agenda, ensuring that Venezuelan crude once again fuels international markets. This has been Faye Agustin, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
President Trump has sacked Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, making her the first cabinet departure of his second term, and tapped Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen to take her place. Carlo de la Peña reports.
Trump announced a major shakeup on social media, saying Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem would move to a newly created role as Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas, a Western Hemisphere security initiative set to be unveiled this Saturday in Doral, Florida. The firing comes after Noem spent 2 days being grilled by lawmakers over her leadership of the department, and amid a string of high-profile departures at DHS in recent weeks. Noem had been a public face of the administration's mass deportation agenda, fronting multi-million-dollar self-deportation ads, touring the country to tout deportation numbers, and making international visits to promote Trump's immigration vision. But she drew bipartisan criticism over a major enforcement surge in Minneapolis, where 3,000 officers were deployed and 2 U.S. citizens were killed. Trump praised his pick to replace her in characteristic terms. Meanwhile, Noem also thanked Trump for appointing her as a special envoy for the Shield of Americas. Trump also praised her replacement, U.S. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, a staunch Trump loyalist and the only Native American currently serving in the Senate. He will need to be confirmed by the Senate before permanently taking on the role. The reshuffle is the most significant personal change at DHS since Trump's return to office, following the earlier departures of ICE Deputy Director Madison Sheehan and Department spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
Up next, Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte is weighing in on the ICC case, naming those he believes are behind the case against his father. His comments come as the former president's legal team continues to challenge the court's jurisdiction. And meanwhile, a high-profile graft case is heading to court. The trial of former Senator Bong Revilla Jr. over flood control projects in Bulacan is set forth April 7th. His camp says the charges will be proven false. More news when Newsline World returns.
these children will grow up and bring the joy, the love, the peace, and compassion to the whole world. We only have one planet. We only have one Earth. And I hope that this new generation of children that we have reached out will become millions and billions and bring peace on Earth. Bring peace to humanity.
As a precaution against a possible shortage of oil supply in the global market, a proposal in the Senate seeks to establish a national petroleum reserve that the government can use during a crisis or sudden disruption in oil supply. Naomi Perez reports.
To strengthen the country's energy security and ensure stability in the supply of petroleum products amid the ongoing tensions in the Middle East, Senate President Tito Soto is pushing for establishment of a national petroleum reserve. Senate Bill number 1934, or the Philippine Strategic Petroleum Reserves Act, aims to create a strategic petroleum reserve that will be owned and managed by the government through the Department of Energy. Under the proposal, facilities will be built in different parts of the country to store crude oil and refined petroleum products such as diesel, gasoline, and liquefied petroleum gas. The supply from this reserve may only be released in case of severe oil shortage, a declared national emergency, a sharp increase in oil prices that could affect the economy, or during major disasters. At present, according to Soto, the country does not have a petroleum storage facility directly managed by the government that could serve as a buffer in case of prolonged supply disruptions. He added that it is important to have a ready petroleum reserve, especially at a time when tensions in several Middle Eastern countries are affecting key oil, shipping routes, and oil refineries. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Naomi Perez, SMNI News.
The graft trial against former Senator Bong Revilla Jr. and 6 co-accused is set to begin on April 7, involving allegedly anomalous flood control projects in Bulacan. While the prosecution is armed with over 50 witnesses, the former senator's camp remains confident that they can debunk all accusations. Kai Villan has the details.
The graft trial against former Senator Bong Revilla Jr. and 6 co-accused is set to begin in April concerning alleged irregularities in flood control projects in Bulacan. The trial dates are scheduled for April 7, 8, 21, and 22, with the prosecution prepared to present a total of 56 witnesses. The case involves alleged violations of Section 3 of Republic Act 3019, also known as the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. During the pre-trial hearing, only Bryce Hernandez, R.J. Domasic, and Cristina Pineda personally attended the proceedings. Although the former senator was not subpoenaed, his camp utilized a special power of attorney to represent him during the hearing. Meanwhile, Revilla's legal team remains confident. They insist that they are ready to prove that the former senator had no involvement in the allegations thrown against him, with the defense prepared to present 14 witnesses of their own.
The legal team is ready with its defense. All along naman, we have maintained or Minimaintain naman ng legal team na wala talagang partisipasyon si former Senator Bong Revilla sa mga aligasyon laban sa kanya. So, we are ready, no? Insofar as yung 56 na yun, hihintay na lang po namin and haharapin namin ito as they are presented sa trial.
Meanwhile, the Office of the Ombudsman has begun interviewing and drafting affidavits for the witnesses. According to the prosecution, the trial dates may be shortened depending on the weight and significance of each individual's testimony.
Pagkatas ng arraignment, nag-start na kami mag-interview ng witnesses, so we are ready with the witnesses. Pero for the trial dates on April, we are ready with the 8 witnesses for the 8 trial dates. Siyempre, hindi ko pa mabanggit kung sino yung mga pangalan nila, pero nag-start na kaming gumawa ng affidavits nila. Ang sabi kasi namin, kahit na 56 yung witnesses, depende dun sa testimony ng isa, baka corroborative lang yung iba, we can dispense with the others. So, maso-shorten pa rin yung trial dates namin.
In the end, Revilla's camp emphasized that they respect the rule of law and that the former senator is prepared to face all of this until the very end.
Ginagalang din namin ang tamang proseso. Ginagalang din namin ang korte at ang mga proseso nito at susunod kami sa tamang proseso. Magta-trial tayo, haharapin namin ito. Siyempre, nakakalungkot na ganito yung mga nangyayari pero he remains steadfast at lalaban po siya.
Reporting for Newsline World, Kai Villan, SMNA News.
The iftar celebration of the Embassy of Malaysia in Makati became a symbol of unity and diplomacy, providing not only a moment of spiritual reflection for the Muslim community, but also strengthening relations and cooperation between Malaysia and the Philippines. Angel Pastor reports.
The iftar celebration held at the Embassy of Malaysia in Makati on March 4 became a meaningful gathering that promoted unity, faith, and diplomacy among Malaysia, the Philippines, and other guests. The event was led by Malaysian Ambassador Dato Abdul Malik Melvin Castellino Anthony and was attended by several government officials, members of the media, and other non-Muslim guests. The Iftar Dua, the prayer before dinner that marks the end of the daily fast during Ramadan, was also conducted. According to the ambassador, Iftar is more than just sharing a meal. It is a spiritual gathering that deepens faith and provides an opportunity to strengthen relations between countries, not only through formal meetings, but also through moments of friendship and personal interaction.
Gatherings such as Iftar also reflects the universal values of kindness, generosity and inclusivity, which transcends cultural and religious differences.
The embassy also demonstrated their form of prayer as a symbol of gratitude and devotion. The ambassador also highlighted the role of the Philippines as ASEAN chair, particularly in strengthening cooperation in social welfare, tourism, and culture under the ASEAN socio-cultural community to promote inclusive development in the region. In terms of tourism, Ambassador Castellino proposed cross-country programs and stronger collaboration in the creative industries, such as handicrafts and trade fairs, to further expand cooperation between the two countries.
The other way is, of course, to look at how we can utilize certain aspects of tourism, for instance, the creative industries, by bringing these two players together. For instance, the arts and handicraft, Malaysia has an advantage, Philippines advantage. Maybe we can come together and maybe through fairs and of course trade shows to be able to push forward this agenda.
He also mentioned collaboration in halal tourism, where Malaysia is helping the Philippines develop halal restaurants and Muslim-friendly accommodations in hotels. Meanwhile, amid the continuing tensions in the Middle East, the ambassador called for peaceful dialogue to prevent negative impacts on the economy, including those affecting the Philippines and overseas Filipino workers.
So in this case, Malaysia is urging all parties involved in a conflict to please come to a negotiating table and of course find ways to solve the issue without resorting to war, which of course will cause severe disruptions to not only the economy but also, of course, to the people who are involved in this, especially like the Philippines, who have so many of your OFWs there, including Malaysia and many other countries.
He added that although the conflict is still in its early stage, he believes ASEAN countries will work together to support one another amid the current crisis. For God in my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SM9 News.
Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte shared his assessment on who may be behind the ICC case against his father, former President Rodrigo Duterte. MJ Mondeja reports.
Even the United States sanctioned the ICC, right? They have issues with the United States. So I do not trust this thing that you call the ICC.
Davao City Mayor Sebastian Duterte is back in the Netherlands for his father, former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. Members of the Duterte family take turns visiting the former president at the ICC detention facility. In an interview, the mayor revealed the identities of those who claim to be victims of the war on drugs.
The narrative of the left against our narrative. That's it. Sino ba yung mga nandyan? Mga NPA naman yung mga nandyan. Kasi sila yung tinamaan during the time of his administration. And they went around Europe playing the victim card.
Aside from the anti-drug campaign, the previous Duterte administration also intensified its anti-insurgency efforts. Many members and sympathizers of the CPP, NPA, NDF reportedly returned to the government. Duterte also insisted that now that his father is no longer in office, leftist groups are targeting him.
You have the ICC involved, and you have these people from the Philippines who are left-leaning, and you know how these are socialist states, you know, the European Union.
The 4-day confirmation of charges hearing of FPRD has recently concluded. His legal team argued that the allegations of crimes against humanity against the former president have no basis. Asked whether the family is prepared for the outcome, the mayor was direct.
We're always prepared. Even my father is prepared. Wala kami dito para iiyak lang. It's politics. Most of it is politics.
Supporters, both Filipinos and foreigners, continue to make their way to The Hague to show solidarity with the former president.
My gratitude to people who are supporting my father, those who believe in him, and especially the things that he did for the Philippines during his administration.
Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondeja, SM9 News.
More than 2 years out from the next presidential election, a grassroots movement in Mindanao is already claiming victory for Vice President Sara Duterte. MJ Mondejar is back for more news.
Dito sa movement na ito, kahit sino dito, kahit rebuilde ka pa, basta magtulong ka kay BP Inday, Sara, para presidente, welcome ka dito sa movement na ito. Kaya dito ngayon, walang pinipili ng mga tao.
That was the message of the Inday Sara 2028 movement as they conducted their Mindanao rounds to promote the candidacy of Vice President Sara Duterte. Marma Sangid, former Games and Amusements Board Commissioner, said their volunteers are rapidly increasing since the Vice President's early declaration to run for President.
Mayroon tayong mga grupo sa Barm, mayroon na sa Tawi-Tawi, sa Basilan, sa Zamboanga City, mayroon na sa Zamboanga Sibugay at saka sa Lanao Sur del Norte, marami na.
Instead of protest actions, the group is preparing now for the 2028 presidential polls. And as a show of force, the movement will hold a large gathering here in Davao City on May 9. According to Masangid, supporters from Mindanao, Visayas, and Luzon are expected to attend.
Kasi kung magkaroon tayo ng rally, walang epekto. Itong movement na ito, parang recruit sa mga tao. Parang sa taas, pati sa grassroots, yun talagang natin na talagang mag-gaisa tayo.
Although the elections are still far off, the group is already declaring that the contest is over and that Duterte will be the next president of the Philippines. This comes despite the impeachment case being faced by the vice president in the Philippine House of Representatives, which political analysts see as a deliberate attempt to block her from the 2028 race.
Wala na, presidente na. Nag-antay lang tayo ng 28. Itong mga grupo, yung sa kabila, nag-antay na lang kayo ng 28 movement. Pagdating ng 28, siba talaga yun dyan. Wala lang kayong magawa dyan. Wala lang kayong... Kaya ngayon dito, kung pwede, inyong sirain at banatan si BP Inday para masira talaga. Pero wala na yan.
The movement is also banking on public anger toward the Marcos administration, framing 2028 as a revenge vote over corruption and what supporters describe as a government that refuses to listen.
Hindi lang tao nagtapo kay Marcos, kundi talagang galit na galit na. Kaya lang ayaw ni Marcos makinig. Yan talaga totoo. Galit na ang mga tao ngayon, galit na.
Despite the tension between the Duterte and Marcos camps, the group is confident that other politicians will eventually support VP Sara.
Kapag incumbent ka, mayor ka, governor ka, congressman ka, hindi ka talaga mag-declare kasi takot ka baka mawala ka ng ayuda. Pag civilian ka talaga, grassroots ka talaga, pero pagdating ng araw, makita ng mga congressman, governor na wala na silang tao, wala nang kasama, wala na, sabay na yan. Kasi si Inday, 75 to 80% sa Mindanao alone, wala na. Puro na yan.
Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondeja. That's Manay News.
In sports, Olympic champion Kaylee Hodgkinson will spearhead Great Britain's medal campaign at the upcoming World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland later this month. Meanwhile, Dallas Mavericks rookie Cooper Flagg reached another major milestone after becoming the second youngest player in league history to score 1,000 career points. Here's Carlo De La Peña for the latest updates.
Hodgkinson enters the competition in strong form after recently breaking the long-standing women's indoor 800-meter world record just 4 weeks ago. The 24-year-old, already a three-time outdoor world medalist, will be making her first appearance at the World Indoors and is aiming to capture the indoor world title. She could also be considered for Great Britain's 4x400-meter relay squad after setting a personal best of 51.49 seconds in the 400 meters earlier this month. Defending champion Jeremiah Azu will attempt to retain his men's 60-meter crown, while World 200-meter silver medalist Amy Hunt and British record holder Dina Asher-Smith will compete in the women's 60 meters. Meanwhile, 2023 world champion Josh Kerr will look to reclaim that 3,000-meter indoor title he previously won in Glasgow 2 years ago. Great Britain will also rely on Georgia Hunter-Bell and Gemma Reekie in the women's 1,500 meters as they chase podium finishes. Pole vaulter Molly Cottery and 800-meter runner Ben Pattison are likewise targeting returns to the global podium, while reigning world indoor 400-meter champion Amber Anning has opted out to focus on preparations for the outdoor season, including the Commonwealth Games and European Championships. Flagg achieved the milestone during his return game against the Orlando Magic after missing 8 straight games due to a foot injury. He reached the mark with a putback basket at a 9:51 mark of the first quarter. The number 1 overall draft pick now ranks as the second youngest player to reach 1,000 career points, trailing only Los Angeles Lakers superstar LeBron James. Flagg could have become the youngest to reach the milestone if not for the left midfoot sprain that sidelined him earlier this season. Despite the setback, the achievement highlights Flagg's strong rookie campaign. Since returning to action, fans have continued to witness his impressive performances for Dallas. So far this season, Flagg is averaging 20.4 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 4.1 assists per game, further strengthening his case as one of the league's most promising young stars. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo De La Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
In the heart of Yaoundé, a pioneering environmental project is turning climate challenges into sustainable economic opportunities by converting banana peels and corn stalks into eco-friendly charcoal. Paulowina Enterprise is providing a scalable model to protect Cameroon's forest while offering a safer, cheaper fuel alternative for households. Joy Tabana has the details.
In the bustling markets of Yaoundé, a new kind of fuel is changing the way families cook. Ursula Tontio, CEO of Paulownia Enterprise, has launched a program that produces charcoal entirely from organic residues, including coconut shells, banana peels, and corn stalks, materials that were once destined for the landfill. The production process is a multi-stage transformation. Workers collect and sun-dry the waste before moving it to carbonization. The material is then ground, mixed with the natural binders like cassava starch, and molded into dense cubic blocks.
Il est économiquement accessible car il est 2 fois moins cher que le charbon de bois traditionnel. Il vient assurer la sécurité alimentaire du consommateur parce que sa combustion n'émet pas de fumée toxique et il vient préserver l'environnement parce que ce que nous appelons matière première dans le processus de fabrication du charbon écologique, ce sont des déchets solides ménagers biodégradables et des rebuts agricoles. D'autre part, il vient préserver nos magnifiques puits carbone que sont les forêts parce que nous faisons de la déforestation évitée. Nous n'avons plus besoin de couper des arbres pour produire du charbon.
Environmental specialists say the impact of this biochar is twofold. Beyond saving trees, it addresses a critical public health crisis. Traditional wood fuel often produces smoke containing dangerous levels of carbon monoxide.
L'avantage majeur du biochar constitue l'alternative à l'utilisation du bois de ménage. En utilisant le biochar, les ménages contribuent à réduire les pressions sur les ressources forestières parce que l'équivalent d'1 kg de biochar utilisé correspond à 2 kg de bois de forêt.
For local residents, the benefits are immediate and practical. Users report that the eco-friendly cubes burn longer, do not block in cooking pots, and eliminate the choking smoke common in traditional kitchens. As Cameroon seeks to protect its biodiversity while battling rising fuel costs, this Waste to Wealth initiative offers a blueprint for green industrialization that puts both the environment and the people first. This has been Joy Tabinao, your global citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Punch, the baby monkey who stole hearts worldwide with his adorable attachment to a stuffed toy, is growing up fast. As he starts to outgrow his beloved plushie, he's now embracing a whole new chapter, making new friends as he socializes with his fellow monkeys at the Ichikawa City Zoo in Japan. Stella Maris has the story.
Born in July 2025, Punch captured the hearts of netizens after photos showed a tiny macaque hugging a plush orangutan toy given by zookeepers to help him practice clinging, a natural behavior for young monkeys. The toy became his source of comfort during his early months after he was abandoned by his mother. But recent updates from the zoo show that Punch is beginning to grow more independent. Zookeepers have observed that he is now spending less time holding on to the plush toy and is instead exploring his surroundings and interacting more with other monkeys in the enclosure. Staff said Punch has started approaching other macaques, sitting near them, and occasionally climbing onto them as he learns the social behaviors of monkey groups. These interactions are seen as an important step in helping him integrate into the troop and develop normal social relationships. Despite these changes, Punch still occasionally keeps the plush toy nearby, particularly during rest time. The young macaque now appears more confident and curious as he continues to adapt to life with other monkeys. Punch's touching story has also drawn significant public attention. Visitors have been flocking to Ichikawa City Zoo to catch a glimpse of the once lonely monkey who became famous online for hugging his stuffed companion. Zoo officials said the growing interest has helped bring more guests to the facility, many eager to see how Punch continues to grow and make new friends. This has been Stella Maris, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. This ministry is the hope of the world for peace, for prosperity, for the lasting peace that should happen. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Almar Forzuelo. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.